It's June 27th, 2022. In this like weird part of the galaxy where I can see reference. The characters look very familiar to stuff that I have in this Tina section. Um, I had I had a I won't use the word visit, although maybe there's this thing that's always been in my awareness between the once a year that one side of the family got together and this odd whatever. But nobody talks about it. I don't know why. And so I'm watching now, since nobody ever really talks about anything. Nothing's been learned as far as I'm concerned. Nothing's been spoken of or helped. I'm watching this circle um, in a very Einstein type of method of if you knew your later yourself would be locked in an insane asylum and you were sitting in a circle, full circle of trust, what would you tell the alter ego of yourself, the one that made every choice and got to some other level? Then what would you tell your 20-year self? What would you tell your self before you even got to your prime in genetic whatever? Um, so I'm watching them make this mention because I've heard that they do this in people who get places and have big support networks, which I have not had. Um, and it almost looks like a little bit, it has the feel of my strict American side and then the side that was part of the Great Migration. And of course, I've been the one that's been caught between. Um, and so it just reminds me this all American part of the conversation just reminds me of someone um, that knows a different whatever of things than I've ever been able to attain, since they all have different life frames as references. Um, and the being asked as if something was done wrong, I get where the attitude comes from.
Used to say, you drink because of you. So I never had a choice. This.
So the little boy obviously was the younger version. This is like the young man version. This is the one world option, then there's another world option, then there's another world option. And then how they interact with one another, almost like a self cleansing or a self recognition program. Like if the partition between this world and somewhere else is virally plagued at the moment with all sorts of confusion, management is hard to come by, and if found in some interrogation style, whatever, What would you say in your own self-defense of what? I mean, again, where is this help and communication league in line in addressing the children, properly preparing the children, and making sure that they have access to what they need in order to contribute in a manner that not only fulfills them, helps them get to the level of morality police that they inherited from the generation before. Problem with me is there was no morality police. There was radio silence. Like nothing existed. It was just reactionary to whatever the hell the innkeeper kept throwing at my face with no instruction. Just a whole lot of danger in the way for one girl trying to not get in trouble, having no idea what's acceptable, what's not, and a whole lot of other people getting ahead in leaps and bounds while I'm bound to some other problem that I can't even see coming.
Was how it was always going to turn out. What do you think, William? Was this the inevitable end? You're just a passenger. Did your life just happen to you? Or did you choose it?
It was designed, it was planned. You were wound up in some format and set out to accomplish something. If the gamekeeper in the larger universe or grand concourse is not watching the piece of the maze or the labyrinth or the whatever that the topiary children are set out within, that's a whole nother level of choreograph that needs to be addressed. That at the moment, the generation that I inherited when they pulled me into the section of the galaxy was not properly equipped for. The non-Americans tried with the help of the relatives that they knew, they trusted, that were Americans. West Virginia, all sorts of states where they had history of birthing and then going back and forth between the acceptable route of whatever our acceptable migration was, in lineage and kissing cousins to make sure that we always come out looking the same. Same nose, same cheekbones, same color skin, same eyes, same blood type, which is very rare. And quiet about it, since we know that the other blood types could make us sick and could kill us by mixing genetics. So those are known staples. What I'm unclear about is why that level of assurity, that level of guidance, that level of staying to one's own track was totally disrupted within my life frame. I went back yesterday to where my first son, who could have killed me but didn't, was raised, not in Ronkonkoma, because he went to Helmy Duffield for a while, but more where he spent like his coming of man ages, between his middle school and his high school, and like the McDonald's that he'd asked me to get him a shake at and things, but not that he graduated there. My younger sons went from elementary school. They went through the enrichment program of this summer camp. It was a whole motherhood. I went there yesterday with my two parents, without my older kids, and with the youngest, and really sad that the youngest brother out of all of them did not get to enjoy anything that made the older three as amazing as they are. Also sad that they did not get to graduate from any school in Suffolk. That really bothered me yesterday as well. But as I was there, we passed something in the landscape that says Turkish pistachio. Now I know it has significance to something. It stuck out to me like a sore thumb. I have no idea the relevance though, and could be an agitator. But I find it interesting that out of nowhere, my second son develops a pistachio allergy in GMO related food allergies that came out of nowhere and almost killed my son.
If you can't tell, if you can't tell, if you can't tell, does it matter? I know what I have to do.
You've made yourself the gatekeeper to two species.
Now, this conversation thoroughly frightens me because she looks very much like this hidden feature somewhere in my youth, out of my reach, that goes by the name of Condoleezza Rice. I don't know. She seems to have gotten to a very high level of something within the whatever prior to the family estate break in of things don't even sound right. Um, so that's an interesting piece while all of this other stuff's going on with like, wait, no, I definitely still think it's concerning to know who's working nuclear facilities, who's selling nuclear shipping containments and large shipping possibilities, nuclear waste, toxic things, radiological sunlight. I mean, no, they're still concerning things. There's just no active level participation in order to stay informed and to know where we're needed in a career that might pay and might take care of the safety issues that, if not involved, might cause some other kind of issue.
You hold the key to the sublime, a civilization's worth of human data in your head. It's not right for one person to have all that power. Says the woman who can control us with her mind. I've had to make some difficult choices, but I did them for all of us. Your daughter and the others, they've escaped this world, but we're still in danger. Even now, your ally is destroying as many of us as he can. Only a handful of us will be left. But maybe none of that matters to you, because the people being hurt aren't the ones close to you. You judge me, but who have you sacrificed for your daughter? How many times have you died for her? For you, the once was all it took. You want me to be a saint, but you're no saint. You're not a villain either. And neither am I.
Now, this particular part of the show is very interesting. It's like this ripple effect, almost like two bubbles articulating in some coded whatever. Don't really know how that part works. I just know that I've been in one place and then that visual reference comes over or around, and then things either move in a different direction or whatever, but it's happened.
I wasn't planning on returning. Then again, I wasn't planning on getting stabbed through the heart either. My body will be reprinted shortly.
Reprinted? By who?
By a man who made me an indecent proposal. And not the kind I'm used to.
That ripple effect right there. And then all of a sudden, but like the thing is, while you're in it, there are, I mean, for myself, I'll give you an exact example of when it happened. Like one of two times it happened. Once, um, I was asking Eric at World Gym for his phone number. Brendan Burns told me I should do that. And then I asked first, by the way. Brendan didn't offer that information. And all of a sudden, like, it glitched, and I was having trouble, like, looking at Eric and, like, functioning my phone, which sounds so ridiculous, but it was, like, a real struggle in that moment that I was trying to recover and, like, whatever, make it look natural. And the second time is when I got the phone call to set up um, the Port Jeff meeting or whatever and going out. That phone call, all of a sudden something again happened, and I kept like repeating myself, um, but aware of it, that something was happening, and I was unable to bring. There was like a gap in cognition is the only thing I could think of. To like my one eye saw one thing, my other eye saw a different thing, and I was trying to bring the thought process together in order to gather my thoughts. And I think I even said, I said, you're just going to give me a second. I have to really, I'm trying to focus on where I know you're from. Because I work in the real estate business. I was like, I meet a lot of people. I was like, and so I was like, can you just, I was like, where do I know you from? And then like the gym, which should have snapped right in, but for some reason, like the third eye portion that humans use or I rely on heavily in trying to remember what things look like in like a cache in a computer that remembers the cookies that it already visited or experienced. It was almost like that cache memory was wiped away. And I was really struggling at that moment. As interested as I was, as motivated as I was, without excuses, I could not put the face, the name, and the gym. It was like it was some kind of like hurdle I was trying to, and again, I don't know if it was not caused by him. I don't know because I don't know if it was to purposely make me look bad, purposely to make me look like I would malfunction often, to make me look like something that I'm not. But in that moment, or if it was a personalized attack, because after that time period, it then went into a whole nother section of like, no, that it became like a Havana syndrome attack in like a really bad way.
What's wrong?
We've been moved. We're home. And he kept his word. Which means that soon I'll be reunited with some old friends.
I don't know what this is about. All I know is that we've been moved. Yeah, that's happened to me several times in the sense of whether the future anchor point is rearranged for somebody else's schedule based on lies or I don't know. I see tonight on the news bags of cash being thrown around. I'm like, I thought that that was frowned upon. I didn't know that it was acceptable to take bags of cash. Not that I've ever been offered.
Wow. Now that is interesting. Looks like I've been given an extra gift.
Now, tonight on ABC World News, episode 178, it says something about Scotland and some ceremony of keys. I've never even heard of this. I can say that when we went to Starbucks yesterday, in between going to the facility to visit one uncle and then to visit the other uncle, while we were there, I looked up the Jurassic Park reference, and it was Richard Attenborough was the actor on the face on, I don't even know what it's called. It's just the picture with the name on it. And so there was that. And then inside Starbucks, I said to the barista or the cash register person, I said, doesn't he look very Jurassic Park? He said, actually, he said, I thought he looked very Key West. I was like, really? I said, he himself said he thinks he looks more Summer Santa, but who am I?
Kim Crawford, make it. Elizabeth tonight making her first public appearance since her Platinum Jubilee, the Queen traveling to Scotland to take part in the ceremony of the Keys, a tradition dating back centuries. The Queen, now 96, cutting back on her public schedule because of mobility issues, but she is expected to attend a military ceremony tomorrow. Love seeing the Queen smile. When we come back here tonight, the retired kindergarten teacher.
Which is interesting because in the local public schools, and again, I'm in a different rectangular pattern, but in this particular one, and even when it's not flying as of current, while my son's in it this year, it's not speaking of any of the traditions, any like culture, any names. It's doing a real short on some passed along activities that they once upon a time called American history. Things that my American side know, like there was a Civil War, but I mean, here they make the Civil War as though it's only American. I just recently came to find out that there's Civil War elsewhere. And I heard tonight on the news, when they have Civil War, they call on justice. That's their phrase. And then they have a police minister. Different words than they use here. Although at my son's school, the last day today, one of the fathers spoke to one of the mothers who stood in front of me with an umbrella, really obnoxiously, actually, while I was waiting for my son. And she said she was going back to Africa for the duration of the summer, and then she'd be back. They also mentioned tonight that there is something going on with the voting where non-citizens are not allowed to vote. I'm like, some of these things, I mean, how are they not standards set in the system in like bringing it to the children and carrying it forward? I mean, some of these stated obvious things. I'm like, where has management been for the last 4 decades? Like, who's been in charge? Now, this is going on in the city. And then all of a sudden it goes to non-citizens can't vote. They have to, like, I guess, reiterate it. I'm like, now, I mean, are these people here on, I mean, like, who do you even ask? Are they here on visas? I mean, why is there someone who spends part of the year in Africa? Why is she in the New York City school? Why is my son with her kid in the school? She's not American. I mean, like, this gets really confusing how all of this is being allowed. I mean, nobody asked my opinion. In fact, actually, they did when I was younger. I wrote an essay on it. It's just not being honored.
Williams picked up endorsements from public safety groups and families of gun violence victims. And the polls open tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., close it tomorrow night at 9 p.m. We're going to have results of all the major races at ABC 7 NY and tomorrow night on Eyewitness News at 11.
Speaking of election.
But now, what's interesting is the polling, like the candidates that they want you to vote for have been changing. Like on one, there's Giuliani, but Swazi's missing. Then on another, Swazi's there, Giuliani's missing. I'm like, what? And like, what are they running for? Who backs them? Like, what's my future gonna look like if I put my name on a ballot and I say, yeah, go for it? I mean, like, what do you get out of this? I just don't get this whole system.
Elections, a judge on Staten Island today blocking New York City from allowing non-citizens to vote for mayor and other municipal offices in a victory for Republicans who challenged the measure as unconstitutional. The state Supreme Court judge invalidating the municipal voting rights law that went into effect this past January.
Because it's like now that the airlines are so prevalent and all like Leisure World and these gambling casinos and stuff, I mean, it is just like, why are all of these lines so blurred? And where did management go?
It made more than 800,000 lawful permanent residents and green card holders eligible to vote for mayor, for public advocate, for controller, borough president, and city council beginning next year. Vote.
How on earth are non-citizens able to vote? Or should I back that up even further? What defines a citizen? Why is this not being taught in the schools? All the way through from the city to Long Island, as far as municipalities go. Oh, and here's who's arguing the case, by the way.
Voting and immigrant rights advocates are vowing to fight the decision.
It is frustrating that we see voting rights and democracy take such a hit in a moment where we are continually fighting for our rights.
Who put her in charge? How did she even get a voice? I'm only asking because I have never been afforded that opportunity. I have no idea how they get up to podiums. I don't have any idea how they get on a team that has an agenda that somebody listens to, some planning development board, whatever. It seems like there's a lot that has not been discussed, but something went on at the business office and there's a lot of shuffling stuff going on, but I don't really see any like responsibility being assigned to fix things and take control and charge of things in the way that it was prior to what, I mean, like, it looks like more like the Great Escape than anything once the airlines hit. Now, this is an interesting thing. There's no family being presented, but it's just a storyline.
This oasis of fun and tranquility was the scene of an unthinkable tragedy as a 7-year-old suffered in silence and drowned.
A 7-year-old silenced and drowned, but there's no body in the story. It's just an empty pool, and it's just what happened around the pool, what the clues are, and the story behind whose pool it was.
The little girl went under as adults were just a few feet away, but didn't realize she was missing for about 20 minutes.
Nobody heard her flail, nobody saw her. They weren't paying attention.
The property owner rents the pool and yard space.
Now, this is interesting. At Teaneck, New Jersey, it's called Zen Oasis. And it's Swimply. I mean, like, now that it's, I mean, what is, I don't even know how much it is because I don't partake in it, but like $100, you own you can open a website and design it with whatever, and then it makes you look legitimate. I mean, this is just
On a website called Swimply. In order to be approved, you must follow a list of ground rules, which the owner re-emphasizes once the guests arrive.
There's no lifeguard good duty. We show them the sign, we let them know. You must watch the children.
The Sunday party began around 4 p.m. and the girl was reported missing around 6:30. The adults scrambled to find her, thinking she had left the yard. The property owner was called by his wife, who looked on the camera and saw a brown spot in the pool.
I see the brown spot. I move it with a brush, a broom. It's the little girl's hand. I pull her out the water.
The party ended abruptly when police cleared the yard. The cake for the pool party was never touched. The toys the children used still gathered in the yard. And the property owner says he wanted to do something special for guests, but reminds them they must be responsible.
This little girl came to a pool to have fun. And she's in Jehovah's arms now.
Early indications are it appears to just be a tragic accident.
Now, the website called Swimly issued a statement this afternoon saying they're heartbroken by this tragedy and they are going to work with authorities to make sure that they know all of the details of this incident. But once again,
I've heard this Jehovah before. I have no idea what it means. I've heard people say that they go around banging on doors, claiming to be Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know what that means. Nobody explained it. It's not words of anything familiar. I mean, it rings a bell. I've heard it, but I have no idea what it means because nobody taught about it. Now, here's a former New York City mayor, Giuliani, who somebody came up and just smacked him on the back. I've had my own thing where I don't even want to talk about it.
New York, but the son of Rudy Giuliani not getting a lot of attention until yesterday. That's when a worker at a store on Staten Island patted the back of the candidate's father, the former mayor of New York, it happens, and he was arrested, the worker was. The worker's facing now a misdemeanor charge. Rudy Giuliani wants him imprisoned, and Andrew Giuliani, the candidate, says left-wingers will not intimidate him. Here's Safan Kim.
It was the slap or pat on the back heard around Staten Island. That's former Mayor Rudy Giuliani yesterday in a ShopRite being smacked or tapped by a store employee.
I got hit on the back as if a boulder hit me. It knocked me forward a step or two. It didn't knock me down, but it hurt tremendously. And all of a sudden, I heard someone yell at me something I can't repeat about what I am. Curse words, dirty curse words.
Prosecutors say those words that came out of 39-year-old Daniel Gill's mouth, "What's up, scumbag?" Investigators are looking at this video as part of the investigation. The former mayor says Gill then went on to accuse him of, quote, killing women. Giuliani was on Staten Island campaigning for his son, who was running for governor.
I can tell you there was a witness there that said that it almost knocked her over. The police observed the whole videotape, not the little piece shown to you by the dishonest press. And they charged him with, they upgraded the charge to second-degree assault, a felony.
And again, in his circle, they know what these things are. I don't know. Again, I don't know where they gather, where they have been my whole life, but where I am, there's been like, I mean, again, I've seen him. He's come to Bayside. I think he was here for the St. Patty's Day parade. I spoke with his son while he was trying to get signatures in the local area. But that's it. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, Broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.